Hey everyone, welcome back to Concordia Jedi. I'm Asher.
I'm Aaron.
So, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Aaron, first, before we talk about the trailer, what do you think of the title?
I mean, in some ways I can see why some people wouldn't like it, but I personally like it only because if you think about it, you've never really ever used a name in
A Star Wars movie.
a Star Wars movie title until
Solo.
Well, I mean, in the mainstream, the episodes, the numbered ones, you haven't used one at all. And what a better way when the whole saga has been focused on Skywalker, on the Skywalkers, and yet this is to be the last of the, at least for as of right now, the last of the main saga.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that being said,
you like it?
I like it because it kind of is like, well, you know, who's the main people we talk about in these? Who's focused on
that.
this? So
we'll get into that.
I think that, with that said, what a better way to, lack of a better way, a good send-off than to honor the name of Skywalker in the title.
I can see that. It's just, for me, it's one of those things that the title doesn't feel as epic as I think it should. This is the final film in the Skywalker saga. This is going to wrap up 9 films. And it just doesn't feel like it as grand as it should. But that's just my opinion right now. Maybe it'll grow on me. Some of the other titles have for a while. Have grown on me after a while. But, so, first what we see in the trailer, we see Rey, and she's on some sort of desert planet. Maybe Tatooine, maybe Jakku.
Or maybe even some other planet.
She's got this one awesome new white outfit that you and I both like. We like the hood on it. We like the little collar. I like the belt. The belt's really nice. She has some sort of new belt buckle. And the big standout for me, the Graflex, the Skywalker lightsaber that was broken in half, has been repaired by Rey. I am so happy about that because this is my favorite lightsaber, and all I wanted, one of the biggest things I wanted from them we were talking about was, I just want her. I don't care if she uses it. I just want her to repair it, and it has been repaired with a new clamp that looks really cool, very reminiscent of Vader's clamp, or Anakin Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones, yeah.
So we see her, she grabs the lightsaber, we see her looking off into the distance, and we hear the distant sound of a TIE fighter coming in, and in comes Kylo's TIE fighter flying above ground level right towards her. She turns on the lightsaber, starts running. Kylo's TIE fighter's coming right at her. She flips up in the air right before it hits him, and oh my goodness, so already a great opening. You also got narration from Luke in the beginning saying, we've passed on all we know. 1,000 generations live in you now.
This is something about this is your fight? Or?
Yeah, this is your fight. And I'm glad they're not doing what a lot... There was a rumor going around, didn't have a ton of credibility if you ask me, but a rumor was going around that Luke was going to be resurrected, sort of like how Gandalf came back in The Lord of the Rings. But I was really saying, no, stick to your guns. Stick to your guns. Keep Luke gone. This isn't his trilogy anymore. He had his trilogy.
It is, but it isn't.
It is, but it isn't. Yeah, this is a journey for the new characters. The old characters need to be there as guidance.
Right, but also at the same time, I still think it is his story in a way.
It is his story in a way.
Because I think in some ways it shows kind of the progression from young Luke in the way he was in his learning to eventually becoming a Jedi. When he defeats Vader. Now
and his disillusionment with the Jedi when we see him in The Last Jedi.
Right, because of
everything that happened.
Everything that happened, which I would hope maybe they create like either some movies or a TV series on what happened in between. But we do have a little bit of hints by the comics, which is which is nice. But with that said, all these many great and wonderful things and also horrible things happen in between.
Right.
Then you have, like I said, 7 where he's off hiding, 8 where we find out why all this happened.
Right.
And now 9 to where he's already realized, well, actually even in 8 at the end, realized what was going on. Okay, I screwed up. I see what I've done wrong. And I can be this.
Time to move on.
And still be this
center of guidance for this.
Center of guidance, but also still at the time when he did this force projection, still a beacon of hope.
Right.
And also doing great things, and also, lack of a better way to say it, he talks about, being the hero, being the Jedi, in a way still being that. And honestly, even in this, I still think, you have the rise of Skywalker. There's going to be something or some things relating back to Luke, and even his father Anakin, and who knows
of course
else.
Palpatine, but we'll get to that. So, our next couple shots, we see that ship, which, did I tell you? Someone screenshotted that ship we see flying to that planet with the snow. It's the same ship that Rey sees flying away from her.
Yeah, I know. I shared that with you.
Yeah, that's crazy, so...
Now, some people are saying there is a rumor, and I don't think this is true. I think it is what we think, and it is the ship that was flown off of Jakku. But some people are saying that's not the same ship, and it's an A-wing.
Maybe. We'll see, because Abrams is notorious for throwing people off with all the hints and stuff he gives out. So he's very selective about what he shows. We see Lando for the first time since Return of the Jedi, which is really nice to see, flying back on the Falcon. You can tell he's loving it.
You know what that scene reminds me of? Because you have, he's laughing. The only thing it reminds me of is the at the end of 6 when the Death Star... Yeah!
So we've got Lando and Chewie and the Falcon. Then we see Finn with Poe on their little adventure that they're going to be going on. We see Kylo in an awesome setting. We see him... first we see him repairing his helmet, it looks like.
It's not him.
Well, someone repairing his helmet. Then we see Kylo smashing his crossguard into the chest of some, resistance fighter, lifting him up and slamming him down like the goddamn Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That was fantastic. I'm super excited to see him putting those crossguards to use. Because when The Force Awakens came out, we saw the crossguard, was so impractical, it's just going to get in the way, but he is using it to great effect here. He slams it in, lifts the guy, and slams him down. Freaking incredible. I love that shot. And the forest in the background, it's like a mirror. It's almost like an opposite of what we saw in his fight with Rey in The Force Awakens on Starkiller Base. It's a forest and the trees are there, but instead of being all dark and blue, it's almost like the forest is on fire. It's all red. It looks really, really cool. We see more stuff with Rey. We see a shot of her hugging Carrie Fisher, Leia, and that's I can tell you I'm already gonna get emotional during that. We see a little bit of C-3PO, and get a line from Luke saying, "We will always be with you. No one's ever really gone." We see Rey, Finn, Poe, 3PO, and Chewbacca all walking to the edge of a cliff overlooking an ocean. In the ocean, we see wreckage of the Death Star. We don't know if it's the first one or the second one, but we'll probably get info soon. You hear Luke say, "No one's ever really gone." Screen goes dark, and then just Palpatine laugh. And I'm sitting there holy crap, dude. Oh my, and then Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. We missed some minor stuff, but these are just the big things in the trailer that we noticed.
Yeah, now the big question is, in what capacity is Palpatine back? Because it is confirmed he is back in some way.
Yes. So, you were asking me what ways I would want to see him return. I'm going to say I don't want to see him return in the flesh. I don't want Palpatine to be alive. I don't want it to be a clone. I think that was I didn't like the Dark Empire storyline from the expanded universe with clone Palpatine because I felt it completely undermined Vader's redemption. And I'd kind of feel the same here if he was back to life. I suppose I'd be okay if you have played Battlefront 2, you know that the Emperor recorded a contingency message and his image and voice were displayed by a droid, a hologram droid. But I think the way I would want to see Palpatine return is as a Force spirit. Now, we know that typically only Jedi can be Force ghosts. Sith can be spirits, like Sith spirits, but they're typically tethered down by something physical, at least in the old Legends material. But if there is any Sith powerful enough that they could be the first Sith to fully return as a spirit, then it would definitely be Palpatine. So I'm thinking that's what I'm hoping for. What about you?
I could see that. I could also see the hologram. There's only one detail in which I would be okay with
him being alive.
And
what would that be?
And that would be because there is some legend stuff about this. Is some old Sith like lore, like Sith alchemy, Sith stuff like that, some other spells or whatever you want to call it, that could
Sith
bring
magic, basically.
Yes, could bring someone back from the dead. And here's I'm treading on thin water here, but I'm going to explain what I mean.
Well,
because I could see, this is how crazy I could see Kylo getting. This is my point. It could be another way. It could be something even totally different. But here's just one possibility. Is that Kylo has gone so far
into the dark
that he wants so badly because he knows...
He wants to learn even more from Palpatine.
Right, because he taught Vader, and Vader was so all-powerful.
And then Palpatine could see this as a new Vader, kind of, yeah.
And so...
The powerful blood of Skywalker runs through you.
Right, so...
A powerful Sith you will become.
Right, and so in a sense also bring back the Sith as well. But, I mean, in a way, the reason... Now, I know that's treading on real thin water.
No, I tell you my issue with that? My issue with that is that if you bring Palpatine back, they're just going to have to kill him off in this film anyway. Why bring him back for one film? I mean, I know they did that with Han, but, Han we had known about for multiple movies, and Palpatine, who we had only known for one movie when he first showed up, at least got 3 more films. So with Palpatine, no one thought, oh my god, Palpatine's going to be back. If they bring him back in the flesh, then chances are he's just going to be killed off by the end anyway.
Well, right, I can see what you're saying.
But if he's a spirit, that offers up more things. Here's what I would like to see.
And I was just throwing that possibility out just to say, hey, if you did it in this way, yeah, I get what you're saying about killing him off again, but at the same time, though, think about this, though. It just shows how twisted and how...
far Kylo's fallen.
Right, and how desperate he is. He's so desperate that
he's so desperate to shun the light inside of him.
Right, that he wants to use Sith alchemy to bring back arguably the most darkest...
the most evil
person that's arguably ever done anything and has taught Vader and did all these things and just, he's so far gone that he wants that. You see what I'm...
Yeah, I get you. Now, let me tell you what I would like to see them do with Palpatine. Now, this might be getting a little out there, but think about this. You have the most powerful Sith Lord of all time. He returns as a spirit, like a Jedi could. We've seen now, thanks to The Last Jedi, what Force spirits are capable of, with Yoda being able to call forth lightning from the sky. Now, say this threat of Palpatine as a spirit, who no one can physically harm, is causing a whole new threat that could potentially wipe out maybe the galaxy. That might be a stretch, but I wouldn't put it past someone as powerful as Sidious. Now,
and then you have it's like a Force spirit war.
Yes, exactly. So then, say you have the Force spirits of Obi-Wan, Yoda, Luke, and Anakin,
and even maybe Qui-Gon.
Maybe Qui-Gon, but that might be pushing it. But say that these 4 Force spirits. Sidious has learned a path back to immortality far beyond even a Jedi Force spirit. Now, say that it's up to these spirits now during this final battle to, while Poe, Finn, and the others are taking on what's left of the First Order, and Rey is taking on Kylo. This threat of Palpatine has to be handled by the spirits of the Jedi long past. And now, let's say that for there to finally be complete balance, Anakin's ghost, or maybe all 4 of the ghosts, must do something where they neutralize any possibility of returning. They give up their individuality in the Force and finally become one by destroying Palpatine in some way that causes these 4 to be gone forever. Never to return, but destroying any chance of Palpatine returning. Like Anakin, or maybe it's just Anakin at this point. Anakin finally finishing off what he started long ago. Maybe with something to Kylo of, you said you wanted to finish what I started. Let me show you exactly what I started. And having something like that happen. I think that could be incredibly poignant. Blows your freaking mind, doesn't it?
Sounds like what something Abrams could do, because he can't. It sounds like an Abrams thing, Abrams and Johnson, and don't you people in comments don't go crazy about Johnson.
They're Star Wars fans. They're gonna do it anyway. It's that Star Wars fans are never satisfied. I've come to accept that. At this point, Disney is damned if you do, damned if you don't. Anyway. One thing we still have not got a question to that isn't a huge question, but I'd still like to see answered. Whatever happened to Luke's green lightsaber? Which, by the way, I got a new speaker in this recently. Holy hell, this is loud. My Texas Custom Sabers, Luke. Listen to this.
But, you know what I'd be willing to see?
What?
At the very end? Just throwing it out there. Maybe.
I think there's only one way this movie should end. Twin Sunset.
Well, yeah. But is some future generation, because I think, Rey kind of, as what's been said, pass on what you have learned.
Yeah.
Is if, say, Rey and, I'm just throwing it out there, I don't know, either Poe or Finn.
I couldn't see Poe. Maybe Finn. If you're going the route I think you're going.
Well, I mean, if you look at the end of 8, there's a chance. Anyways.
Yeah, she said hi to the guys. I'm Rey. I know.
But the way they were geeking out.
I think he was mainly just going, I know. You lifted a bunch of boulders, and I'm still kind of freaked out by that.
But anyhow, say there's a future generation of Jedi that's being taught as well as the future,
right.
The heir of, the Jedi, and you have the kid of whoever, Rey and whomever.
Yeah.
And say, of course she'll still have the Graflex saber, but she gives
maybe Luke's green
lightsaber to.
Ooh. That might be something. Although then people will be complaining like, God, doesn't anyone build their own lightsabers anymore? You just gotta keep passing the same hand-me-downs. Shut up! You are complaining about a movie about space wizards. Lighten up. Sorry. If you can't tell, these 2 years since The Last Jedi have really, have really done a number on me. It's like I'm suffering from PTSD. I hear the slightest complaint and I go into defense mode. Because that's all I've been on. I mean, I give each of the films when I feel that they've earned criticism in some area. Like, I think we should have seen Han, Luke, and Leia to get all together on screen again, and we still might. But yeah, I feel like anytime people just start getting so negative, and so I have to start defending on all these different points.
Yeah, there's one thing like today.
Someone get me whiskey.
Somebody goes and says, which is the worst Star Wars film? And I go, and I just put, they had a poll going. I just put in the comments, I love them all. None of them are bad.
The best Star Wars film is still better than the best DC film. That's just my opinion.
But, I mean, I still love DC films. But anyhow.
The newest Dustman Knife, but continue.
But, I mean, I'm like, there is not a Star Wars film that I don't love.
Right.
And...
yeah, to at least to some extent, I love each of the Star Wars films. There's no Star Wars film that I hated or that I'm not happy I saw.
Right. Exactly.
Because even the worst Star Wars film, like for me, that's Attack of the Clones. Even Attack of the Clones has a ton to offer in its creativity and its sound design. You got a ton of stuff there that you can still work with.
Now, with that being said, here's a question, because we do know Lucas's original idea was to go further even than 9 episodes.
Right.
Here's my question. Would you be willing, and who knows, somebody or even Disney could go back on this, but say, they say it's the end of the Skywalker saga. Depending on, say, what we find out in 9, if it's anywhere from Kylo still living, somehow being redeemed.
No, the end of the Skywalker saga to me doesn't necessarily have to mean the end of the Skywalkers.
Right, I was getting to that.
With that being said.
Right, with that being said, or like I said,
if anyone from the Skywalker bloodline does return in, like, say, Rian Johnson's new trilogy, if it's going further into the future, say, maybe 40, 50 years, if anyone from the Skywalker bloodline is still, if Kylo does survive, they need to play a minor role. Right. They cannot be it needs to be new characters focused on.
So, but like I said,
that's why I'm so happy that, at least from what we're seeing, Rey is hopefully still going to not be a Skywalker and be her own character. I mean, if she is, fine, I can accept that, but I think it's a much better idea having her be her own character and leading off this new generation of Star Wars.
So, well, yeah, right. Now, with that said, say, in some way, shape, or form, say Kylo is redeemed, he's living, or if not that, or something else, maybe Rey is a Skywalker, or Leia survives, or something somehow.
I actually think that's very possible that Leia might survive. But
so anyway, something happens to a point in some fashion. Don't know how, but in some fashion that, say, somebody in the Skywalker bloodline does survive, because we do know there was more to the main saga that was planned. Would you be willing at some point? Yeah, they say this is...
a return to the Skywalker saga?
Kind of, yes.
I'm never not going to be open to any ideas from Star Wars, provided that they're done well. That's why I'm still completely open to, even though it's not my favorite film, I think I would be down if they wanted to do a sequel to Solo. It wouldn't necessarily be my first choice by a long shot, but I would be open to it because I did enjoy Solo.
Now, here's a question. Now going off on ideas for spin-offs.
Well, let's save that for another time because we're at 20 minutes already. This is a video just talking about the trailers. Before you go, how about a little thing for you, a little question. Do you prefer Gravflex.
Whoa, jeez.
Or-
Blind everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to do it.
Or Luke Saber.
What about it?
Wait, let's say you were given the choice between.
Whoa.
Let's say you were given the choice to have one of these, a real version of it. What would you choose?
Oh, absolutely. The Graflex.
Graflex?
Absolutely.
That wouldn't be a bad one to choose, although I do love Luke's thin neck. Look at that.
I would absolutely choose this.
So anyway, guys, what do you think of the Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker trailer? Give it a watch. Let us know what you think. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. And may the Force be with you.
Always.